Get started. Welcome, everyone, to the final Women's Podcaster Party of 2025. I do not know how that happened. This year has flown by for me. Not sure about you guys, but I'm very happy to have you all here, and I can't wait for everyone to meet each other. We definitely have some familiar faces. Some of you are coming for the first time. So, for those of you that haven't been here before, typically we spend the first 20 minutes or so letting everybody introduce themselves so we can all get to know each other. And then typically in other times we'll have a speaker. This month we're not because we're going to do all networking. So then we'll do some breakout rooms. We'll talk some fun stuff, but we'll also talk about 2026 and what kind of support you guys are looking for in the new year. I just dropped in the chat a short little intro to remind you of what to share with us, who you are, if you have a business, what it is, if you have a podcast, what it is and what is it about. Feel free to drop your links in the chat. And then something more fun. Last week, we talked about holiday treats, but this time we're going to ask you guys, what is your favorite holiday meal? I always love hearing the variety, and then we always get hungry as we talk about it. At least that's what happened last week. Okay, so I will get started because I know no one wants to go first, and then we will go around the Zoom room. So, hi everyone. I am Julie Marty-Pearson. I am the creator and host of the Women's Podcaster Party networking community. I created this space almost 2 years ago because I felt like there was lacking spaces in podcasting just for women. And not that men aren't welcome, but we all know as women, we talk about different things than men do. We talk about things differently than men do. And one of my purposes in my business is to get more women's voices in podcasting. And recent research has reinforced that for me because currently only 35% of active podcasts are hosted by women. And even less of that is hosted by women of color. And what the research also showed is male hosted shows tend to have more male guests, which means that there's even fewer of us as guests out in the podcasting space. So I am all about getting more of us into podcasting as guest hosts or both. And that's what this space is for people to meet each other, connect, to learn, and grow together. I have two podcasts. The first is The Story of My Pet, which I say always explains my background. That is where I started in podcasting, and I'm still passionate about that podcast as an advocacy platform to educate people around animal rescue, fostering, and adoption. My second podcast is Podcast Your Story, and it's all about amplifying women's voices in podcasting. I talk a lot about my own journey and how-tos, but I also share amazing stories from other women podcasters. And I always love it when we have a fur friend join us on Zoom. Very welcome in my community. So that is me. My favorite holiday meal. I was thinking about this. We do the traditional turkey and all the things at Thanksgiving, but Christmas Eve, we spend with my side of the family, and there is a Italian restaurant on the side of town where I grew up, just a few minutes from my childhood home. My mom still lives in, and we always pick that up for Christmas Eve. So that is like lasagna and baked ziti and pizza, and that is what we eat on Christmas Eve. And God, that sounds really good right now. So I'm very much looking forward to that next week. All right. So I am just going to go around the Zoom room and give everybody 2 minutes to introduce themselves so we can all meet. And again, if you have a link to a podcast or something you want to share, feel free to drop that in the chat for others to check out. And I will just go around the Zoom room. So, Tamara, would you like to go next since you're unmuted?
Well, thank you. I didn't mean to be. I sometimes forget.
No worries.
Thank God I didn't have a Tourette or anything, right? My name is Tamara Hamilton from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, just north of Chicago. I'm actually literally in between Chicago and Milwaukee. I am a marketing and business strategist. I help my clients to simplify their strategy, monetize their message, and create consistent income without the burnout. I do not currently have a podcast, but I enjoy coming to this networking party because I know I need to start one. And when Julie just said, I felt like she was pointing at me when she said less than 30% are women of color. Like, okay, just go ahead and bait me and make me start the podcast because we can't have that. That's not okay. Um,
I wasn't, but
I
I
know you
wanted to
weren't.
make
Oh,
sure to
I know you weren't.
include.
Yeah, I know you were not. But, like how on TV where they show like what really happened, but what happened in your mind,
Right.
that, yeah.
Right.
So, and for Christmas, I love when my dad makes his famous prime rib. I absolutely love it. And, baked potato, asparagus, and, all the desserts, the pecan pie and everything. Growing up, we would have almost the exact same thing on Thanksgiving as Christmas. And so now as
Mm.
we've gotten older, to have more of that variety. And then for New Year's Eve, I love like a good surf and turf. Like give me a
Ooh.
tomahawk and some good crab legs and that. So that's it for me. I didn't miss anything, did I?
Nope, you got it. Sounds all of that sounds good. Some of it I don't eat most meat and it's not. I mean, it is partly animals, but it's also partly my stomach just doesn't like it. I haven't had a hamburger since 1997.
Oh, I
I
but
but I got to the point where it wasn't worth eating it because it was always bad after. But I
okay.
still love the idea of hearing people love those kind of foods and getting to enjoy them since I cannot.
I just
And
stopped my YouTube channel since I don't have a podcast.
perfect. And she is going to be back here in January. One of the January events, Tamara is going to be talking about all things YouTube because that has been something people have been asking me about how to grow your YouTube channel, how to get more subscribers. And even though I know the basics of YouTube and setting up a podcast there, I do not know all the ticks and trips for the growth. So make sure you come back in January and I'll drop the link in just a second for that. Okay, next up in my Zoom room is Sandy.
So, hello, my name is Sandy. I am the travel gal. I Nothing lights up my soul more than travel and helping other women explore different countries because I truly believe that there's no greater transformation than through travel. So that's really my message, transformation through travel. And I'm a travel advisor, but I also lead group tours. I have one coming up to China in September and one to German and French Christmas markets in December next year. And I wrote a book on how travel shaped my life, and I have a podcast, All Things Travel, and I'm always happy to have guests who, like to share their perspective on travel or have a special niche. And yeah, so All Things Travel. I honestly, because we traveled growing up, we really never stayed home and celebrated Christmas. I didn't grow up with the Christmas traditions, and so I don't really have like wherever we are is what we're gonna eat. So I don't have any favorite foods. I did bake some Vanillekipferl. So I'm from Germany. So Vanillekipferl are like little crescent vanilla, anyway, cookies. Not that that's a meal, but I did manage to do that. But yeah, as far as meals concerned, I can't really speak to that.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that. I had a friend growing up who lived down the street from me, and they always traveled. Her parents were teachers, so every time there was a break, they were going somewhere, and they had family all over the world. So she kind of felt the same way when she had kids. Like, I don't have traditions. I guess I have to create them, and so it's always fun. But it's also fun to be in another culture or community and get to embrace whatever their traditions are when you're traveling. I'm sure.
Exactly.
Well, so glad to have you here. Next
Thank
up
you.
in my Zoom room, I have Joanna.
And by Joanna, you mean Joanna and Luna.
Oh,
You were talking about
cutie.
rescue dogs, and she was jumping up on me. So this is
Like, it's
Luna.
me, it's me.
Yeah, this is Luna, my little rescue poodle. I adopted her from a shelter in Texas a year and a half ago. She's 6 years old, and she loves it when I rub her right there. But now I'm going to put you down. Okay. Well, hi. This is my first time here. My name's Joanna Lovering. I am, thanks. Is it Hale? I think Hale. Okay, great. Thank you. Um, I am an executive presence and leadership coach for women. I'm really passionate about helping women rise up in the ranks, especially in corporate, because my mission is, listen, this place is a dumpster fire and it would be a lot better if women were running it. You know what I mean? So that's my little contribution to the current feminist movement. I do not have a podcast, but I probably should. Same as you, Tamira. My favorite holiday meal is so I am Italian American. And so you think I'm going to say the seven fishes. I actually hate the seven fishes. It's way too much fish. So I'm going to say pinoli nut cookies. Those are
Mm,
pine nut cookies that are in an almond paste base. And I make them and they're awesome.
sounds yummy.
Thank you.
Ah, sounds
Do you
very
ship
yummy.
them is the question.
What?
Do you ship them is the question.
Ha
Do you
ha!
share them with others?
I can give you my favorite bakery in New York City that does ship them. How about that?
Mm,
They make better ones than I do. Yes,
I
I have a
love that.
fun story about how I tricked my grandmother into like I bought the pinoli nut cookies from this place and then I put them in Tupperware and I was like, "Merry Christmas, Grandma." And she's like, these are the best ones you've ever made."
And you're like, you're right, they are.
They are.
The easiest ones too.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Thanks for
Well,
having me, Julie.
yes, so happy to have you here. And what I always say is, I'm not a podcast pusher. I do not think everyone has to have one. I just think everyone should be using podcasting in some way in their business, whether as a guest or being a sponsor. So many ways to do it. And speaking of guests, next up in the Zoom room, I have Connie, one of our fabulous podcast guests.
Yes, I do not have a podcast, but I love guesting. And again, my name is Connie Warden. I live in Littleton, Colorado, but I grew up in Madison, Milwaukee area, Tamari. Yeah, one of eight siblings too. So it was crazy. And my business is, well, I've been an acupuncturist and I'm a yoga nut. I teach yoga online. But what I'm really trying to promote is my book called Speeding to Compassion, Life Lessons and Humor to the High Road, because this is my journey from being a jerk on the road to being more mindful and kindful. And so that's what I like to talk about because I think it's a universal experience. Let's see. And I love humor. There's so much humor in here. I had someone say, "Oh my God, I knew you were funny, Connie, but I didn't know you were Steve Martin funny." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, but thank you."
I love that.
Um, and so our favorite, I love the traditional stuff, the turkey and all that for Thanksgiving, but for Christmas, we host Christmas Eve with my son and daughter and our four grandkids. And my husband has perfected his homemade pizza. And each pizza weighs at least 20 pounds. I mean, he's got everything, he makes everything from scratch. And it's like, this is the pizza I want. So it's huge. There's lots of stuff on it. And that's what we think of for Christmas, actually.
I love that. Sounds yummy too. I think we all need to be sending each other these amazing items we're discussing. And last week we talked about treats and we all just got hungry as everybody kept sharing. So I love this. Thank you, Connie. Okay, next up I have Hale.
Thank you. Oh my God, talking about last week. So I ended up making those homemade brownies. I couldn't not do it because we talked about it. I'm like, oh my God, my mouth is watering. So I'm Hale, pronounced like hallelujah. I'm a health span and self-resonance coach, living healthy adult years. So I assist people with health challenges to create real healing using both scientific and holistic method. And let's just put it that way that I had to experience an autoimmune Hashimoto's, chronic fatigue, chronic pain, and a bunch of other symptoms, although I lived a holistic lifestyle. But I've never been on any meds. That was just for 3 months. I got rid of it, and I want to simplify. That's my whole passion, to simplify. It's so confusing with the holistic, with the medical, with all of that. It gets confusing, and I love to be interviewed. I've been on podcasts globally. Yeah, I just continue spreading what I'm here to do because I've also been in a domestic violence in my 20s. I've also been in Revolution. I've also been in corporate. And so I'm like, talk about experiencing different aspects of life, even to a point of homeless from a royalty family and then homeless. So I love to be of service uh, in this world. And I thank you. I don't have my podcast. And Julie knows I don't want my own podcast because I have a lot going in different directions. That's not in my books now, but it might be down the future. And I have two books so far, more to come. And so I love to be featured. Thank you.
Love that. And what I always say is not everyone has to be a host, but all of us hosts need guests. So we need more guests and we need guests with amazing stories and all of that. So happy to have you here. Did you have a favorite holiday meal you wanted to
Oh
share?
my God, yes, I do. Yeah, I always love tasting and eating something different because I love different cultures. And so my husband is not Persian. I was born in Iran, Tehran, but I have all nationality in my family. So he's half German, with mom being British and Welsh, so it's a mix. And he makes actually a Persian. It's a hard rice that gets hard. You can put saffron on it, or sometimes it has potatoes in it, and it's so delicious. And you put this Persian stew on top of it, and he makes
Mm.
it. And he makes it organic, natural. And our meat, I know you don't like meat, you could do a vegetarian, but it's grass-fed, grass-finished. And that's the only
Mm.
meat I eat, or else I will not touch any meat. That being said, so that I love the way he cooks it. So
I
I'm
love that.
spoiled with that. So thank you. So he puts
I
that for the holidays.
I am the same way. My husband is the major cook in our family. I am the baker, but he is the cook. So he makes a great sweet potato casserole that I'm like, when is that happening? I am ready now. Okay, next up in
Maya,
the Zoom, we have
Maya, you look like you're in a plane, like a private plane.
That has a story of its own. The private jet, yeah, that's a story of its own, but it's a background. Yes.
yeah, Connie. I love that you're like, wait, are you in a plane right now?
Like, hop on, let's go. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, I noticed it, but I guess I was like, oh, okay, she's a jet setter. And
She did.
it didn't hit me like, yeah, why would like she's not on a plane right now? Like, yeah.
If she was, it has great Wi-Fi, right?
Right.
Oh, I love that. Okay, next up, Mary. You want to introduce yourself?
Hello, ladies. I have sun in in Half Moon Bay, California, which sometimes I do not. I'm the soul story mentor, and I use my 40 years as a journalist to ask really good questions to uncover the story beneath the story, the soul story that all of us are are here to deliver to the world. And I do not have a podcast, but I love being able to be a guest and to help move the story along that all of us are here to have an impact on the world with. And I would say that I grew up on a dairy farm in Minnesota. So we usually had baked ham, and I seem to remember it was Kranz. I can't remember. We're German and Norwegian, so it could be that ancestry, but it was a sweet bread that had currants and a brown sugar glaze. But there was also a dessert that we had around the holidays that was called Mint Dazzle. And when I was first working, one of the gals said, "Oh, you have the icebox desserts." A layer of chocolate, a layer of graham cracker, marshmallows and whipped cream, and crushed up candy canes all over the top. And I was like, it tastes good. So whatever we called it, we loved it.
We always had a version of that with my husband's side of the family. His grandma used to make those layered desserts that were yummy, and we didn't worry what was in it. It was just good, right? Thank you, Mary. And it's so important what Mary does because so many of us, even as guests, have to work on telling our stories and what parts of our story and how to weave that into our interviews. So I love having Mary because she's a great guest to help women, learn how to tell their stories in new ways. Okay, next up we have Delakshi. I'm going to hopefully said that right this time. And if I did it, tell me, please.
You did. Thank you so much, Julie. My name is Dilakshi Pavanasingam, and it always takes people a couple of tries to get that name right. Um, and myself, right now, I'm actually figuring out what my offer to the world is. So it's interesting when all of you guys were going on about your niche. In the back of my mind, I was kind of like, shit, like what do I say? And I was trying to reverse. I was like, okay, like is this it? Is this it? But then I was like, okay, let me just be on the spot. So I'm trying to figure out what my offer to the world is, and I'm really heavily leaning on storytelling and leaning into speaking. So that's why podcasting really jumped out at me. I was born and raised in Sri Lanka, a beautiful island right below India. Grew up in a village with a completely different value system, completely different dynamic than what I'm used to here in the US. And then I moved to the US with my family when I was 15 and a half. And I have a lot of cool stories. I'm a tsunami survivor, saw the whole thing happen in front of my eyes, thought I was gonna die in the next 2 minutes, and then, here I am. And then my immediate family, we've been through war zones, so we've been impacted by wars that went in Sri Lanka. My grandma lost her siblings, and that takes a heavy toll. Even if I didn't see it personally, it takes a toll on your mental health. And so, such as that. So, I'm not sure exactly how these stories are going to be woven into what I'm going to offer to the world, but it's interesting as I'm reflecting on it. I realize these beautiful stories, you don't really often give them the beauty that they deserve, until all of a sudden you're like, you know what, I kind of want to do my own thing, and all of a sudden they're at the forefront of your mind. And on the side, I help women entrepreneurs and women who are looking to become entrepreneurs. I connect them with self-directed courses developed by a really cool sales confidence coach. I help them do high ticket sales. So yeah, so that's me. And my favorite holiday meal. Chicken biryani is always the go-to meal in our culture, but growing up, it was always reserved for special occasions when you have a wedding or when you have holidays. But my mom's been doing this thing where she's kind of breaking out of that tradition. And every time, like, when I just want chicken biryani and when I tell her, she'll just make it for me, and I'm like, what? Like, you're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to wait for Christmas. We're supposed to wait for, cousin whatever to get married for us
Right.
to have chicken biryani. So personally, I've been loving that. I can just crave it and tell mom, and she'll just make it for me. All of a sudden, like chicken biryani is not connected with Christmas or a special occasion in my
Right.
mind. So I've been loving that. But personally, I've been looking forward to chicken biryani for her to make it for Christmas. So
I
personally, I'm
love
looking
that.
forward to that.
Do you have
It's
children?
so sorry. What did you say? I think I spoke over you.
You have children, Dilexi?
No, I don't. I hope to have them one day.
Okay, because as a mom, when your baby asks you for a meal, no matter how old they are, that is a special occasion. It is Christmas, that is Easter, that is Hanukkah, that is all of it. So it is,
Mm.
don't dismiss that. That is special.
That is
Thank
so
you.
true. My mom growing up, she was very well known to bringing whenever we were doing a potluck party or having our own, event, she always made her famous macaroni salad. And she is 80 and still will make it for us when we ask for it. And I have a friend who went through a lot in her early 20s, and the one thing she would always ask for was my mom's macaroni salad, and it was healing. And so, we all have those things that whether it's our mom or someone else, we need them to make for us when we need it, right? Food is healing. Okay, last but not least, Samantha, are you able to unmute and introduce yourself?
I just got home, so I'm good. Yeah, I'm Samantha Foote. I support neurodivergent families, so parents who have neurodivergent kids, autism, ADHD, OCD, those kinds of things. I do that. My team and I do music therapy, behavioral therapy, and I'm a parent consultant. I have a community for parents. And then I also have my podcast, Every Brain is Different, that just talks about using positive parenting strategies for raising neurodivergent kids. And then my favorite meal, which is probably going to be changing because my sisters said they don't like it. And anyway, that makes me sad. But for like 30 years, we have had clam chowder with fresh rolls on Christmas Eve, and it's my favorite. But last year, my sisters revolted, and they're like, we don't like clams. We don't like clam chowder." And I was like, "Oh, well, then maybe we shouldn't eat it as a family anymore." Just saying. Anyway, it was funny, but I'm sad.
That sounds yummy. I love
Yeah,
clam cheddar. I usually only get it when I go to the Central Coast, but it's a comfort food for sure. I can
I
imagine.
love it.
Okay, before we do some breakout rooms and other discussions, I want to grab a photo. And so, for those of you new, I always take a group photo and then I post it on all the socials and tag you. I find that is the easiest way for us all to get connected because links can get lost in the shuffle. So, I'm going to give you a countdown and then we will take a photo. Okay, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Sometimes it takes my computer a minute to decide it wants to take the photo. Oh, technology, we love you but hate you, right? Okay, so I'm gonna do a breakout room, and it looks like we have enough to do 2 or 3 of you in a room. And what I want you guys to talk about, and I will drop it in the chat, as I am planning next year, as I said, we already have our speaker for January to talk about YouTube. I want to bring in people to talk about the things you all want to learn about, things you need to grow in, to learn, whatever it may be, with respect to podcasting, whether it be hosting or guesting or both. So that is the topic for our first breakout room. What is one area that you want to learn more about in 2026? And then we'll come back and share as a larger group. And for sure, if you know someone that can speak on the topic that you're going to share, please bring that back with you too. I will give everyone 7 minutes so that the groups with 3, everybody gets a chance to go, and then we'll come back and share. Okay, accept your invitations. Welcome back, everybody. I can't wait to hear what everyone talked about. Anyone want to jump in and go first and share?
I love to be a guest. I don't want to run the show.
And trust me, as a host of 2 shows, I feel you. Sometimes I'm like, why did I do this to myself?
Yeah, there's
It's
a
all
lot of
about what we enjoy doing and what we have fun doing. I think that's a big thing in my business this year is like, do I enjoy this? And if I don't, why am I doing it? Can someone else do this for me? Right?
exactly.
I love that Mary just loves to show up and tell her story and do her thing and then be like, thanks, bye.
I'm with Mary, and we've discussed this before. For me, the podcast in my ecosystem is a lead magnet. It's to pull people in and get them in my ecosystem and ascend them. And then from there, I can decide if I want
Right.
to go full steam and then decide on the format and that, because I know if it's just left to it just being me on the podcast without others, it's not going to last long because I'm just not going to, I'm introverted more than people believe. And I'm
I
just,
am too.
yeah, and I'm
People,
just gonna be like, mm-mm. It's like having a personal trainer that I'll have a gym membership on autopilot and won't show up. But the minute I start paying for that personal trainer,
yep.
I paid real money now. I gotta show up.
Well, and one of the things that you just mentioned, people may not realize that some people do have podcasts, but they're not public, they're private, and they do use them as simply as a lead gen. And as you want to hear my 5 episode, show on how to be an awesome podcast guest. And so it's more of getting people in their email list into their world versus just putting your info out for everyone and anyone to listen to. And I've seen some people use that and be very successful with using it in that way. I mean, the big thing about podcasting is audio. Audio is very connecting. And I always say, when I think about someone choosing to put on headphones or turn on their car, my voice, and listen to what I have to say, it builds a deep connection. But that doesn't mean you have to use it in the same way that everybody else uses it, right? We can all do it in different ways. Well, for those of you who are guests, are there certain things as a guest that you would like to learn more about in terms of the process, about finding podcasts or being a good guest, anything like that that's come up in your chats? Okay, I'll just put it out
That's a
there. You
great
guys can let that simmer. Did anybody else have anything else when they wanted to share from the breakout? Anything come up that you want to learn more about?
We didn't really talk a whole lot about that. We were just kind of getting to know each other, but it
Okay,
was really
that
cool.
works too.
But what I do want to do, I wrote down in, I want to learn more about video editing.
Okay.
And I was with Connie in the room, and I agree, we got to know each other, but I would like to learn more about optimizing it with keywords and, all the things. I don't know if I have it dialed in on YouTube, and Tamir, I'll be interested to hear what you have to say in January, but I definitely need help with the podcast platform. So,
Yeah.
and the ranking and all the things.
No, that's a great one. And I will say that a lot of what I'm hearing is it's also changing because SEO is changing because of AI. And now there's AEO that we have to worry about and keywords for being searched in AI platforms. Google is no longer the top search engine. People are going to AI. And so we have to think about that with all of our businesses, no matter what we do, promoting our workshops, promoting our offers, promoting being on a podcast as a guest. And so that's definitely something I need to do some investigation and get some good speakers into the community for that for sure. Any other things you guys talked about?
Well,
Amy, okay, video editing. Thank you. I will make a note.
and what came up in our group, I'm gonna speak for Joanna here with her cool glasses, was the when you talk about formatting, scripted versus just a bunch of gals getting together and shooting the shit.
Right.
And I see a lot of value in that. In fact, that's how a lot of people grew their TikToks is, the collaborative live stream with multiple people just kind of chatting, usually around a topic of the day, but everybody kind of, getting
Right.
together and they all were able to grow. It reminds me of like 2015, 2016 Instagram when they kind of
Mm-hmm.
like formed these coalitions and kind of grew together. So I thought that was great input from Joanna.
Yeah, and I've noticed too that even panels on podcasts are becoming more familiar. I've done a couple where it's, two or three people and there isn't like a set structure. It's just talking about a topic for the hour or whatever they're together. And, in a lot of ways, podcasts are replacing daytime talk shows in that people just want to hear people chatting and talking about life and things like that. So it doesn't always have to have a topic or a through line. But that's how I do my podcast. I don't have set questions. I like the conversation to take us where it needs to go because that's what I respond to as someone listening to podcasts. So, you know, yes, Andrea, I know her as well. I just saw that pop up. She would be great. And she just started her own podcast. So she may even have some tips for us now that she's a podcaster also.
And they have
Okay.
very different styles, so you might have room for both.
Right. And that's the other thing. With podcasting, I know I can't cover everything because it's just too broad now and people do it differently. I mean, that's why we love it is we get to choose what it looks like for us to be a guest or a host or whatever. But that's also hard because then that makes it a million things we need to know how to do because we're all doing it differently. And I will say from the guest perspective, that can be the hard part, especially when you first start guesting, is it's not going to be the same process every time you are a guest because every podcast host does it differently. Every whether how to sign up or what you do in the actual interview, there's a lot of good and bad. And so yeah, there's like we're riding the wave of keeping up versus knowing everything. And so if there's ever a time that a topic or something you're dealing with comes up that you're like, oh, I wish I could get some help in this or learn more, reach out to me and let me know. And I'm happy to find a way for us to build it into these. So in 2026, we're going to do it a little bit differently. I have been doing 2 of these events every month, and both events have a speaker, but I've had a really good reception to last month and this month giving the full hour for networking. So next year we're going to still do 2 events, but one will be a full hour of networking and one will have a speaker. There'll still be networking time, but then we'll have that speaker to be able to really dive into whatever topic that they're going to talk about. So just a FYI, and please, if you know anyone that would like to join the community, these events are always free, and we are happy to have anyone who wants to join us. Oh, great. Another resource for video editing. That's what I'll be working on over the holidays, getting some more speakers lined up. So I appreciate your guys' feedback. Okay, we have a little bit of time left. Let
I
me
have
go
a
back.
question.
Yeah.
For those, because I'm a frequent guester. I love to guest because I just show up, I put on a little makeup, look cute, show up, say what I have to say, and I'm out, right? And one thing I notice, and I'll just say it, there are guys who approach me to be on their podcast, right? And what I notice is they, what they do with that podcast, and so I don't accept a lot of them anymore. It really depends on it. It's like they're using it as a way to qualify you to be their customer, to work with them. And I'm wondering if anyone else has had that happen to them with
I
like
have. I
Joanna.
have. I would say
Yeah.
my worst guest experience this year was a male host who I was shocked because it's actually a couple that do it, a man and a woman, but it was only him who actually interviewed me. And the whole time I felt like he was trying to coach me. And then he wanted me in one of his programs after. I'm like, look, that is not what I'm signing up for as a guest. And I would never do that to my clients. As a host, could your guests be potential clients? Yes, but that shouldn't be the focus of what you're doing with them as a guest. Like, guests are here to help grow our listener base and visibility, right? That's what we're doing this for. So, yeah, I've had the experience and I did not like it. Anyone else have a similar experience they want to share?
Spot on. And then they try to sell you their whole coaching program right after. And
Yep.
the other thing that irks me is they act all interested, and then it's like, okay, and it's X amount of dollars to get on my podcast, the pay to play. They're not trying. I mean, if they're transparent from the beginning, I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
But the
Right.
sneaky, oh, and by the way, that's why I get them all the time. And I'm like, is this paid? It's the first question. I literally, I'm just so blunt. I'm like, is this pay to play? Not interested
Mhm.
because I don't, yeah, I don't need that. And
Yeah.
so it can be kind of icky. And a lot of them are like in some of the podcast, find a guest, be a guest groups. Some of them are really sneaky, and I feel like so you have to be a little discerning, which I learned
Yeah.
initially. I was like, oh, and then I'm like, oh. So yeah.
Yeah, and it may seem simple. I say this all the time, but listen to the podcast before you're on it because that's going to tell you a lot about the host, the kind of questions they ask, the kind of format. But you never know what's going on behind the scenes either. And I will say, I'll share the link. I use Podmatch both as a guest and a host, and I love it. I've heard mixed reviews. Some people don't feel like they find enough good options there, but a lot of people do love Podmatch. I also tested out Matchmaker, which is another podcast matching, and I did not like it. And every match I had, it was pay to play. And I'm like, no, I'm not paying to be on a service that then I have to
Yeah.
pay to be on the podcast.
Mhm.
And this is the thing I always say, guys, there are enough podcasts out there. You do not have to pay. And the only time you should pay is if you're looking at like a top 1%, top 0.5% podcast that's like really big. And that makes sense why you're doing it because you're getting into something that has a huge reach. The only time I've ever paid to be a guest was I wasn't paying to be a guest, but after we recorded the interview, she offered me if you want to buy my new book and you send me the receipt, I will then give you additional video clips. That was something like it was like paying to get content. And she didn't do, I will say she didn't do it in a sketchy way. It kind of, how I just said it kind of came off sketchy. But that's the only time I ever did because it was a different kind of thing. It wasn't paying to be a guest. But at this point, I wouldn't even do that now. I think hosts should be giving you content. They should be giving you images. They should be giving you video clips because, like, the whole point of being a guest is for me to publicize your podcast. I've had ones this year where they never even told me my episode was out. I'm like,
Oh,
guys,
wow.
what are you doing? Like, you're losing out on me because what I do as a guest, I have a page on on my website that is just for guesting. I link every episode of my guest on there, and I direct link to their website or YouTube, whatever it is I have. And so, like, why would you not give your guests that content? So, again, from the guest perspective, it can be hard because some of it is up to the host in terms of what they give you and how much they give you for promotion. But good guests are going to give you stuff. They're going to give you stuff. They're going to tag you. They're going to send you multiple emails because that's what hosts should be doing in order for guests to do the promotion on their side of it. And I think sometimes we learn through the bad experiences, and I certainly do. Being a guest is something that I enjoy doing because I also learn. I see what people do I want to do, and I also see what people do that I will never do that as a host. Yes, Holly.
Yes, and some of them will say that there's an expense doing that because we're putting you on Hulu, blah, 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 blah. So then they're like, it's a $39 or $49. There's a small fee to cover that. So a lot of them do that as well too.
Which is like, I want to see the receipts for that. I want to see because, for me as a host, I pay to have what's called a podcast host, which Buzzsprout is my host. It costs me a certain amount every month, and both of my podcasts are through it. And but you have to have a host to get on platforms. I have to have a host to get into Apple and Spotify. That's how it goes those places. So if people are choosing to pay to have other places, that's their choice. It's not the guest's choice, right? There is a cost in running a podcast. So I don't like to hear that people are doing that. But again, everybody does it their own way. And I think one of the things is people are going to recommend podcasts to be on if they've had a positive guest experience. If it wasn't, they're not going to promote it. They're not going to tell other people they should be guests on it. And so, as a host, you want to give people the best experience. And I know there have been times I haven't done all the things I was supposed to, or people have, I sometimes sit on interviews longer because I have to worry about business stuff versus getting new episodes out. But I would never not tell people an episode has come out and give them the right links to it. So, we learn by doing and seeing what we don't want to do, I guess, is the ultimate piece there.
Thank you. Yes.
Anybody else have anything they want to share about things, an experience they had? Don't do it. Something they want to learn, anything like that. Please feel free to share.
I'll just say one of the things that I talked about, and I think Tamira, you agreed with, was like many people like me procrastinate from building a podcast or a video podcast or whatever it is because it seems so administratively heavy. And so if there were someone to teach me what the easy button is, like if there's AI to do the edits for me, if there like I don't fucking know. But if there is an easy button, tell me what it is because I would love to have a podcast, not one that goes on for like 6 seasons, like just 8 episodes and then leave it there. But I need an easy button
Okay. And I love that you
in
did.
building it.
Drop the chat. I'm doing a free workshop on Thursday, all about launching a podcast on a budget. And I will say there are some couple ways you can do it. One way is to live stream it because there's no editing if you're live streaming. It's like it's out there, it's done, it exists. You're not going to go back and spend time. There are also plenty of ways to edit it that are easy. I use Descript. Descript has magic buttons like Studio Sound, which levels and cleans up the voices. Another one that removes filler words.
Wow.
So one button goes through, it's gone. So I edit probably a third of the amount of time I used to. Like when I first started, I was editing everything. Now I clean it up. I hit those buttons. I go make sure the name of who is saying what looks right. Sometimes I look a little more if I feel like it got a little too long in the interview and I want to cut a chunk out for a shorter episode. I add in my music and I go, there you go, and it's out. So what I have found, I would say in my time in podcasting is people are there less for the quality of the audio and video editing and more for the content. I will say there are some big name celebrities that have podcasts that don't even have very good sound. And I'm listening going, don't you have a production team listening to this? Like, this is crazy to me. So I say that it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to edit a lot. There's some pretty quick ways that you can clean it up to make it nice without spending a lot of time. But I do know some people who have gone the live stream route because of that, because they just want to put it out and it's out, and then, it'll exist and people will come and find it if they want to. Bye,
Low
Mary.
production value. Go ahead.
No, no, no. I was just saying bye. She was waving.
Oh, okay. The low production value across all content converts very high because number one, it shows that you're human and
Yeah.
you're not AI. So low production value every single time. It's like my modus operandus because I'm partly lazy. I mean, I'm high achieving, but also at the same time, if
Oh, I'm high achieving,
I'm
but I'm also a procrastinator. And sometimes I'm just like, just put it out. I don't care. And I have learned, though, it is not about the quality, it's about the content. And if you know deep down you have something to say and you want to share something, it's about getting it out in whatever way you need to, and not so much about how good the editing or things like that are. And sometimes it's getting over that initial push to hit record or hit publish the first time. I see a lot of people that get hung up on that step. So don't feel bad because it's very common,
I feel
including
like
myself.
the authenticity piece is the most important part, right? I
Absolutely.
sometimes, so I use the script, but I sometimes even let an or in there because I'm not perfect. I'm not a
Right.
professional speaker. I want to have a TED talk one day, but that's down the road.
Well, yeah, and that's something I learned too when I first started. My mentors taught me how to audio edit, and I was editing every space, everything, and then I realized, wait, I'm editing out normal language and how we pause when we're talking. Or also, as someone who used to teach, I realized when you ask a question of someone, it takes their brain a few seconds to process it and respond, right? So even as a host, I don't want to cut out all those spaces because that's the guest deciding what they're going to say or how they're going to say it. So, yeah, it is a balance of cleaning it up versus taking out normal human language cadence. And I do agree with what was said. I can't remember who said it, is the authenticity and the lack of, super editing is going to be what makes it different, that this is real and this is not AI. Recently on Instagram, there were some videos I even shared that later I found out was AI, and I'm like, how are we even supposed to know? Right? So how do we show up authentically so people know our content is real and is really us? Does that help you at all, Joanna?
Oh my God, it makes me feel so much better. I mean, the reason I'm procrastinating is because I don't feel like putting on makeup. Like, that's the ridiculous part. So,
I
We
don't.
can also just use one of the filters on Zoom. Zoom
I
right.
has
don't. I don't use makeup. I have a YouTube channel. I'm not a makeup gal. You know what? I'm not that. We're not. Not everybody's cup of tea. But I don't do makeup. I'm like, whatever. If you don't like
yeah.
me, don't look at me.
Some days I do, but I honestly have no makeup on today. So I just put on a fancy headband and I feel like it distracts?
Very cute. Very cute.
Or some earrings, whatever. But there are times, even when I'm recording, especially like my pet podcast, I'm talking to people who are working in shelters, who are running rescues, who are volunteering with nonprofits. And they don't care what I look like. I don't care what they look like. I show up in a t-shirt with my hair in a bun and we're like, let's get this content out. People need to hear this. People need to help, right? So some of that is, and I will say that is the hard part, especially I think for women with video. We feel it has to be a certain way. And that's why some women I know only do audio. They never use the video. They just use the audio. So that's another way you can, decide what is it that you want to do and just own it. Because, and it's so funny because kind of what you do as your business is telling women that, but, we can say it. We don't always take our own advice, right?
Please.
Yeah, I
Please.
say it too. I preach about all the things to do, and do I always do it myself? No, but
Yeah.
that's okay, right? We're our own worst student, I like to say. Okay, so I know we've gone over time. So I thank you all for hanging out and continuing to chat. I'm happy to hang out and talk about anything and everything if you want to. But for those of you that have to go, I appreciate you so much being here. I appreciate you being in the community. Feel free to share with anyone you know that might like to come. As I said, the link I shared, we have January and February dates up. I will be continuing to add more and adding speaker info in the next few weeks. If you have an idea, someone who might be a great speaker, feel free to DM me or email me. I appreciate all of that feedback. And I just appreciate you, and I hope you all have an amazing next couple of weeks and get to enjoy some time with your friends and family.
Thanks,
Thank you so
everybody.
much.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.